the San Francisco 49ers are drafting number 3, and I think we all realize now at this point they're going to draft a quarterback, and it's going to be Mac Jones. There have been a lot of rumors. There have been a lot of ESPN Adam Schefter reports about Jimmy Garoppolo, the current starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. My belief is if they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, you know they are drafting and starting Mac Jones. This team is at a critical tipping point. If you're the San Francisco 49ers, you're at a point where you're either going to decide to contend with teams like the LA Rams, who went out and got Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson in Seattle. Russell Wilson is still a Seattle Seahawk. You have, obviously, little Kyler verticality in Arizona with how good they are. I think they are a 10-win team this year. The San Francisco 49ers have a decision to make. They know that Jimmy Garoppolo is not their quarterback of the future. They know that. So they're going to draft at number 3. They gave up a ton to get up there. Jake, I am firmly the believer if they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, there's no other route to go other than Alabama quarterback Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think first of all, moving up to number 3 essentially solidifies the fact that you're trading Jimmy G. I mean, you don't take that aggressive of a stance and that aggressive of a strategy to go and draft a quarterback if you're keeping Jimmy G on the roster. That just I just can't. That doesn't compute for me.
Well, so think through that. But if you keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, you're drafting a quarterback. There is no doubt in my mind at number 3, this team, the San Francisco 49ers, is drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think that's in question.
The question is, which one? If you draft Trey Lance, you cannot start him right now. He's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think you look at his weaknesses. The number one thing that stands out to me about Trey Lance is as soon as he sees his number one option is not there, he's gone. He's going to run. And in the NFL, we've seen that is a recipe for injury and disaster, and it's inefficient, and it's not going to win you games in the NFL. Right now, today, Trey Lance can't make a 3-read throw. He's not going to find his 3rd, 4th option. He's not going to do that. He's going to look right at his number 1, and he's either going to throw it or he's going to run. You can't do that in the NFL. So I don't think you can trade Jimmy Garoppolo and then draft Trey Lance. It just doesn't make a lot of sense based on where this team is with their defense. I think their defense can compete. I think they've got to bolster some skill position depth, I think. But overall, this 49er team should win or be in position to win just about every game they play in unless you draft Trey Lance and start him at quarterback.
Yeah, I think that there's more to the Trey Lance story than everybody gives him credit for, though. I think that, yeah, he has very little exposure in college. Yes, he is a running quarterback in college, but I also think there's this side of Trey Lance that has been talked about a little bit, which is that he's a really smart guy. He's not one of these guys that's just an athlete at the position. That is what he showed in college. He showed you he can do that, but I also think that he's somebody who you could really develop and turn into something special. And I think that, yeah, I don't think that you're wrong. I think that, it is definitely risky to let's say that they do trade Jimmy G, and let's say that they were to draft Trey Lance. Yeah, that is a huge risk. There's no doubt. That's a huge risk as a team that is trying to compete for a Super Bowl. You can't. It's not logical to take that risk. But what I'm saying is that this league is trending more towards guys who can move around in the pocket a little bit and who can create. And I think that, to me, Mac Jones, I like him. He's going to be a quality guy. I just don't think that he's athletic enough to be a long-term successful quarterback, but that's just me.
Yeah, and I think the knock on Mac Jones is always going to be arm strength, top of the draft arm strength, and his ability to run, which doesn't seem to be prolific. He is a stand in the pocket, deliver the football quarterback, and I wonder how much of this is a sliding scale, because obviously if you go to Trey Lance, this is a guy that's got 300 reps total in college. That's it. He would be, I think ESPN had a stat today, that'd be the fewest reps from a starting quarterback. I think it's 318. Reps total in college would be the least reps by a quarterback being drafted in 40 years. And that's because guys are not experienced. They haven't seen defense. And the other thing is, and I know that it's something that probably frustrates people, but where did Trey Lance play football? Well, he didn't play at Alabama. He didn't play in the Big Ten. Like, he played at North Dakota State, which is a small school where you're not seeing a high caliber of opponent. So whereas Justin Fields, who, by the way, it should be said, I think Justin Fields is the best pick. If I'm the 49ers, I'd probably be taking Justin Fields. But my feeling is they're going Mac Jones. Justin Fields is the right pick there. Huge arm, smart guy, reads the field well, unloads the football, runs well. My only question on Justin Fields is his health and his durability. Your best ability is your availability. And Justin Fields has battled injuries throughout his college career. That always worries me. But when I look at where the 49ers are, I don't think there's any question. They're going to take Mac Jones.
It's the safe pick. It's the reliable pick. But what I'm telling you is that Mac Jones is not taking him to a Super Bowl. Mac Jones is not. I don't believe that Mac Jones, if you start him day one, is going to be, sliced bread right out the gate, the way like a Herbert was or a Joe Burrow was before the gnarly injury. I don't think that that's who Mac Jones is, but maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like this league is trending towards guys who, yes, are cerebral, who, yes, can read a defense and make a throw and work through the progression, but also can move a little bit. My biggest concern with Mac Jones is the fact that he had elite protection at Alabama and never had to worry about being pressured. And in the NFL, that's just not the case. Even if you have the best offensive line, you're still going to get some pressure. And so that concerns me.
Yeah, and I think what Mac Jones showed you is he is precise with the football. He has there were a lot of people trying to say he's got the Alex Smith. He doesn't have an Alex Smith arm. He's got a better arm than Alex had, and he's accurate with it. I think when you look at the quarterbacks who have come out lately, I mean, if you look at Justin Herbert, that's not a guy that's a run-first guy. If you look at Joe Burrow is a pocket passer. And certainly the exploits of a guy named Tom Brady, who has never been a running quarterback in his life, those guys can succeed in the NFL. It's guys like Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, and I know they will, the Ravens still have not picked up his fifth-year option, by the way. They will. There's no question about that. But you're leaving the door open to be questioned about what you're doing with your quarterback. And if that's where you are in the NFL, you're not going to win. If the 49ers are truly committed to winning, they would keep Jimmy Garoppolo and they would draft whatever quarterback they think is the best long-term fit. Maybe that's Trey Lance. People say he's got the best football IQ in the draft of any quarterback. Hey, that's awesome. If you can sit him for a year behind Jimmy Garoppolo, that's even better.
That's ideal.
Yeah, hey, if that's your plan, okay, cool. Everybody now thinks they're going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. And is that back to the Patriots? Maybe. Are the Patriots going to move up and draft? Maybe. I don't know. But what I do know is that Mac Jones, if you're going to draft a quarterback to start, you cannot make that Trey Lance. It has to be Mac Jones.
I would agree with that.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
If that's the route you're going, Trey Lance is not the smart pick.
Yep. No doubt about it. Ty Johnson says NFC West has 4 10-plus win teams. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what the chemistry in Seattle is like, though. Because I look at this situation with Russell Wilson. This is Russell Wilson's team. Well, until you started talking about him demanding a trade and not taking any of his advice, ignoring his opinion, and going around and doing whatever he wanted you not to do. Now all of a sudden you look like an organization that doesn't want Russell Wilson as the face of their team anymore. Then you refuse to trade him because he would have crippled your salary cap. Well, now you're in a no-win situation. And we know that when it comes to quarterbacks in this league, usually half the locker room's with them and half's against them. And when you ask and when you have a divided locker room, you're not going to win games. So I think there's some lingering chemistry questions about the Seattle Seahawks. I think this is the Rams' division to lose. And I think it's really interesting what you said in our pre-show meeting. You mentioned Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to tee you up to say the same thing again.
Uh-huh.
What did you say about Matthew Stafford before the show in our pre-show meeting?
That I think that the Rams are that was a great move by them, and I think that Matthew Stafford still has to show us that he can go out and do it. I mean, he's been playing on a bad team for a long time and taking a beating for a long time. So right now with the Rams, you're looking at a straight up a potential Super Bowl run, assuming that good old Matt Stafford, who's been beat to hell the last 10 years, can stay healthy and can still do him. I mean that should be scary to the rest of this division. Matt Stafford can be better than Kyler Murray. Matt Stafford can be better than Russell Wilson. Like, that's the kind of production we're talking about. It's just a matter of if he can stay healthy and if he can do it. So to me, the Rams are a scary team if you're that division, and really if you're the rest of the league, because now they actually have somebody driving the offense who's capable. And I think the last thing I'd say about that is if you're Jared Goff, you should be worried, because if homie comes in and takes them to a Super Bowl year one, you're gonna look really bad.
Yeah, Tatum says, first time I've ever seen you guys. Glad to have found the show. Matthew Stafford is not a durability question. He always plays hurt. It's a question of who's going to run the football for the Rams. Well, I mean, the Rams made a very clear delineation that they were going to be a throwing team first. And what we've seen is that you go and get Matt Stafford, you're not going to worry as much about the running back as you are about the wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And, I wouldn't worry about the running game. Listen, I think, if you look at some of the mistakes that Jared Goff made, I think you realize very quickly that he is a bust. Mm-hmm. And I try not to say that anymore. I had a conversation on ESPN radio with Ryan Leaf about this, because Ryan Leaf is ultimately referred to as the bust.
Right.
But you have to look at why things happen. And we generically throw things around. And I think sometimes we need to be a little more careful than that. I think Jared Goff is a mediocre quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. Mm. I would say he is a good backup. He's not. I mean, Wolford outplayed him. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt that. I'm trying to be gentle, and I probably shouldn't. I think Jared Goff isn't a starting quarterback in this league. Mm-hmm. And I think the Rams have made that decision, and that's why Matt Stafford's here and Jared Goff is not.
Right.
And I think if you go up and down, they need a lot of things in L.A. They're not a finished product. I mean, they need to work on their offensive line. I think they have absolutely got to find somebody to hit the quarterback, although Leonard Floyd was a nice pickup for them. But I think defense, they've got to get better, and I think they have enough crew at wide receiver and tight end that they're going to be just fine. Just fine. Blake says, what do you guys think about the Jets? I don't know that that's enough of an organization to keep Zach Wilson on his feet. Well, funny, talking about the pre-show meeting today. Jake also brought this up in the pre-show meeting today.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, which is, can the Jets be a place where Zach Wilson or any quarterback goes and wins? And I don't think, until they show us that they can win, I don't think they're going to win. And I know that sounds idiot-like or simplistic, but I'm no simp. The Jets haven't won recently. And until they show that they can win, I just don't think that that's a great fit for any quarterback.
Yeah, it's a mentality thing. I think it's a mentality thing with the front office and in that organization. I mean, it's great that, there's people comparing, Zach Wilson to, Joe Montana or whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't be, the second coming of Joe Montana if you don't have protection and 4 seconds to read the defense, And to me, I look back and I think about all these guys that have gone through that organization at that position, and these are guys that should have been better. You look at Darnold, he's going to Carolina. Does he have success in Carolina? And if he does, that's an indictment on the Jets, because the Jets had a guy, and Sam Darnold, who's clearly capable. They just are not capable of developing him, and that is my fear for Zach Wilson. The guy has the ability, he has it within him to go out and be a Hall of Fame level quarterback when it's all said and done. And your first 5 years in a bad organization has a real ability to derail that, and that's what I don't want to see happen.
Yeah, Marcus says it's all good that you guys say the Rams change quarterbacks, but if they can't run, that quarterback's going to get crushed. They can, look, Cam Akers, why Cam Akers is a good back. I look at Darrell Henderson. He's a good back. They have more than enough. And by the way, if you can keep the wide receivers, if you can keep guys like Woods, Kupp, don't forget they brought in Deshaun Jackson, who does one thing, and that's run deep sideline routes. I mean, Woods, Jefferson, Kupp, Higbee at tight end. I think you have the weapons on offense for the Rams are not the issue. It is the line, and it is consistency in that defense. I wouldn't worry about the offense, Marcus. I just wouldn't. Sean says, I completely agree with Jake. That was a great decision by the Rams. Nothing against Robert Saleh, the head coach of the Jets. I think they should have signed an offensive-minded head coach. Well, I said that from the beginning.
Yeah,
that's why Darnold's not there anymore because, they're going defense and they're going to draft a young quarterback.
Yep.
And what that says to you is they're not going to win for 2 years.
But the good news for Zach Wilson, for all you BYU fans out there, is if you have a great defense, you're going to get the ball back more. And that just means more development for Zach Wilson during the season.
Yeah, Steve wants to know about Sean McVay. Steve says, when does Sean McVay get, quote-unquote, put on the clock? Well, I think he's on the clock now.
Do you, though?
Yes, absolutely I do. I think if they don't have a much better year, you went and made significant changes to this organization over the last 2 years. You traded your two linchpin offensive players in Todd Gurley and Jared Goff, and now you've completely changed the identity of this offense. And by the way, you're wasting the best years of Aaron Donald's career. And I think you're in a situation where your expectation was you were going to win Super Bowls, and you haven't won a Super Bowl.
And you've only been to one.
You need to go and win the Super Bowl.
And
now.
by the way, you only got to that one because of a very questionable call.
Yeah, I do think. Is he going to be fired if they don't win a Super Bowl this year? I don't know. Ask me what the result was. Why? Are they a sub 500 team or a 500 team? Yeah, he's probably going to be looked at real hard.
Yeah,
as he should be. It's only organizations who don't win, and I'll point to the Chicago Bears. You suck. You don't win. You gave away an entire lifetime of draft picks to get Mitchell Trubisky, who's now the backup in Buffalo, and you still kept your job. That's why the Bears suck. That's why the Jets suck. That's why Cincinnati, go on and on. How did Cleveland come up out of the ashes? Well, they completely changed the way they do business.
Yep. And
the Rams completely changed the way they did business when they hired McVay and moved to L.A. and fired Jeff Fisher. And
the one thing that I would say is 100% I agree with you, but I think that the thing that separates the great organizations, not just the product on the field, but the organizational product overall, is the willingness not to be emotional about players and people.
Yes.
You have to just say, hey, this is where we are. This is where we want to go. Can you take us there? Has the performance and has the quality you've been bringing to the job every day been what we need it to be? For Jared Goff, that answer is no. For Todd Gurley, your knee means the answer is no. You know what I mean? So it's so funny how the NFL is capable of being cold-blooded with football players, but when it comes to Sean McVay, when it comes to Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, oh yeah, we're going to keep those guys on. We're going to keep those guys on. Okay, well then you're going to keep those guys on, and you're going to continue to be a 6-win football team.
Correct.
And that's as simple as it is.
Pete says, what do you guys think about the Eagles and the Patriots? I don't know what the Eagles are doing at quarterback. Again, bad teams have instability at the quarterback. Teams that win have one guy, he's their number one, and it's not in question. Who's the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? Jared Stidham? I don't know. I look at Jalen Hurts. He should have been, but Doug Peterson probably got fired for that decision. I think the Eagles have to make a decision at quarterback, and then let's talk about what they're going to do. The Patriots, speaking of the Niners, they stole Kendrick Bourne. I think they're much better on the outside.
Yeah.
N'Keal Harry, I think, has to step up and be healthy and be a legitimate operator there, but Nelson Aguilar is a nice little pickup for them. I think they're better, but what do we not know about the New England Patriots? Do they have a quality quarterback? Do they have somebody that can stand under center and make a throw?
By the way, there's no better example in the league of building a dynasty than the Patriots. We can all agree on that. And the one piece that they don't have now is some guy named Tom Brady who's in Tampa who just won a Super Bowl. So
Cam Newton's their guy now, and I think everybody realizes he's not their guy. And I think they're going to trade up, and Justin Fields Justin Fields is that guy that's going to fall.
I think if you're the Patriots, the real question is how long is Bill going to stay around? Are we talking 5 more years? Are we talking, are you talking about still being a coach 10 years from now? Like I can't imagine that he's got 10 years left in the league.
No.
So if he's leaving the organization inside of 5 years, then I think that I don't know, man. I don't like the idea of committing to, let's say that they went ahead and moved up in the draft and did some insane move and went after one of these young quarterbacks, and got one of those guys. And then Bill leaves 3 years from now. How is that setting the organization up for success in the long term? It's not.
It's not.
And that's why I say if you're a Patriots fan right now, you're in limbo. You guys have enjoyed 15 years or so, or 12 years of success.
Unquestioned quality is what you've enjoyed.
Yeah, and now you gotta understand that you're probably in a window here for 5 years where you're just going to be average, and that's okay. It's okay to be average after you did what you did. You did something historic. So I think once Bill leaves, then the Patriots will get back to the business of winning.
Alex Granzini says, this is my first time watching live before I go to work. The Jazz need to be careful. Or Axel, excuse me, Granzini. Axel, great to have you on the show. Appreciate you watching live. Give us a thumbs up while you're here and a subscribe. Yes, the Jazz need to be careful. Tonight's a must-win, no doubt about that. Shall Mary buy... Yo, why am I always late? Well, because you don't click the notifications.
Yeah,
click
notification. Turn notifications on, dude.
YouTube will tell you that the Monty Show is live. Give us a thumbs up while you're here as well. Jimmy says, you guys nailed it on the 49ers. They made a decision to move on from Jimmy G, so move on. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. He's not your guy? Okay, cool.
You can't put him back on the field now. You can't do that.